My phone vibrated quietly on the table, pulling me out of my thoughts with a soft buzz that seemed oddly loud in the stillness of the room. I glanced down, and the name Madison lit up the screen. Without thinking, I frowned, an automatic reaction I couldn't suppress. It was her. My younger sister. Why was she calling me, of all times? It was already late, well past the hour when anyone would normally call unless it was urgent. And Madison, of all people, wasn't the type to call for no reason. We weren't estranged, but our conversations were usually planned, predictable. This kind of sudden call? Very unlike her. Feeling a slight tightness in my chest, I carefully set down my wine glass, its thin stem clicking softly against the wood of the table. I stared at the screen for a moment longer, debating. Then, slowly, I reached out and pressed the answer button. Madison, are you okay? Why have you called this late at night? There was a pause on the other end. Then her voice came through, fragile and trembling like a thread ready to snap. Chloe, do you have a moment? Can we talk? Or that voice. There was something about it that immediately made my stomach twist. It was shaky, like she was fighting to keep her emotions at bay, trying to hold herself together with the last bit of strength she had left. I knew that sound. When Madison was on the verge of crying, the first sign was always her voice getting small, shrinking into a whisper. Then came the sharp, shallow breaths, like her throat was closing in on itself, struggling to let the words pass through. She had been like that since we were little girls. Some things never changed. Of course, I said softly, already bracing myself. What happened? What's going on? There was a stretch of silence. Not long, only a few seconds. But it felt heavy, as if the air itself had thickened. Like the truth she was about to speak had weight. Then a hoarse voice followed. I've decided not to go to college after graduating high school. That one sentence cut through the stillness of the night. I instinctively reached for my phone again and held it tighter to my ear. Are you going to start working? I do want to go to college, honestly. But Mom and Dad told me our finances are tight, so I kept telling myself I should give up on it. But I just can't let go of that dream. I gasped. Madison had never said anything like this before. When I saw her at Christmas last year, all she said was, I haven't really thought about after graduation. But I didn't press her at the time. I was swamped with work and didn't have the time or emotional space. Even so, I felt something was off, and I ignored it. I regret not asking her more deeply. I guess the feeling of not wanting to give up never went away. Madison's voice trembled, but there was a strength in it too. I looked into scholarships on my own and thought about working part-time while studying. But I'm still coming up short, and I've decided not to rely on Mom and Dad anymore, so I'm giving up. I slowly closed my eyes. I felt a warm ache rising in my chest. For the first time, she had asked for help to change her own life. And it wasn't a plea for comfort. It was the resolve of someone taking responsibility and still trying to move forward. Madison. I spoke softly but clearly. I'll pay for your tuition, enrollment fees, textbooks, living expenses, everything. If this is the path you truly want to follow, I'll support you with everything I've got. Really? Are you serious? Of course. But there's one condition. What is it? Don't blame this choice on anyone else. Walk this path as your own decision. Even when it gets tough, even when you feel like giving up, hold on to the resolve to live your own life. I heard her sobbing quietly on the other end. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chloe. I'll still apply for scholarships too. After hanging up, I stood up from the sofa and sat down at my desk. I opened my laptop and started searching for college application resources. Maybe it's just a professional habit, but my mind automatically started drafting a contract and payment plan. Still, staying calm, that was my role. Not driven by emotion, but by building and supporting a structure. That's what I've always done within our family. Even so, I couldn't understand why our parents didn't support Madison's college plans. Why did they make her give up without saying a word to me? They had paid for my college education. I never once heard them say anything about financial hardship back then. They didn't seem to be struggling at all. I simply couldn't understand it. Suddenly, something in my chest stirred uneasily. It's just your imagination. Madison genuinely wants to go to college. Let's just support her. I told myself that as I began drafting a support agreement for her. She needed to know she could focus on studying without worry, so I had to get everything ready right away. But at that time, I didn't know yet. I didn't know that decision would ripple out in unexpected ways. Still, at that moment, I simply believed in my sister's future. And now, 3 full years have passed since I made that decision. Once again this year, the warm glow of lights shone from our family home in the Boston suburbs, and the electric decorations my father puts up every year sparkled along the house's exterior. But unlike back then, I felt no excitement in my chest. It was more like a sense of duty pushing me to step out of the car. Christmas with the family, it's been a while since I've seen Madison. I guess I should at least show my face. Telling myself that, I rang the doorbell. Chloe. It was our mother who opened the door. She still dressed younger than her age. A red cardigan and a white frilled apron. Maybe it was just me, but her smile looked a little forced. I'm so glad you came. It must have been cold outside. Come in, come in. Thanks. Is the food ready? Yes, I made roast pork and your favorite mashed potatoes too. As soon as I stepped into the living room, a nostalgic scent wafted up to my nose. And yet, what spread through my chest wasn't comfort, but a vague unease. The lighting felt strangely bright. Big sis. Madison peeked out from the kitchen and ran over to me. You look great. How's college? It's total report hell right now, but I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, it's all thanks to you. I smiled. Her words warmed something deep inside me. Even as she complained, her eyes were bright, full of life. It was clear she was thriving. I was truly glad I had decided to support her back then. And that's when it happened. I don't think it's quite accurate to say it was all thanks to you. Our mother interjected while swirling her wine glass. What? Because at the time, we also tightened our budget to help out, you know. We did chip in a little from the household finances. So saying it was all thanks to you, I think that's a bit misleading. I stared at her, speechless. Her eyes were smiling, but there was no warmth in them. That's strange. As far as I remember, I was the one who paid Madison's tuition, textbook fees, dorm costs, living expenses, everything. I kept records of every single transfer. Records? Mom slightly furrowed her brows. You always manage everything with numbers, like you're expecting something in return. I don't expect anything in return. I helped because there was a need for me to do so. See? I told you so. Suddenly, Dad's low voice cut in. He glared at me from the corner of the living room, gripping a beer can and red-faced. You always act like everything's thanks to you. Just because you paid for your sister's tuition, you think you're the head of the family or something? I never said that. I just did what was necessary for Madison's future. Someone had to do it, so I did. You're so damn self-righteous, he shouted. The glass trembled. We raised Madison while barely making ends meet. When the topic of college came up, we were trying to figure it out somehow. Then why did you say it was financially impossible? My voice turned cold without me realizing it. Because we knew you were earning money. So you just assumed I'd pay for everything, didn't you? His face contorted with rage. Shut up already. Just because you gave us money doesn't mean you can act all high and mighty. Don't look down on your own family. I'm not looking down on anyone. I'm just stating facts. It wasn't just Madison's tuition. I've also been sending money to you every month. Because you said you were struggling. I've simply done what I could for the family. Enough already. He stood up, and the table legs made a dull thud. Get out. If that's the attitude you have just because you paid for your sister's tuition, then you're no longer part of this family. For a moment, time felt like it had stopped. His shouting still lingered in the air, and a dull ache rang in my ears. His words cut deep into my chest like a sharpened blade. The pain spread instantly, yet strangely no tears came. Before I could even catch my breath, Mom added in a cold voice, as if to seal it. You're no longer a member of this household. When I heard that, I slowly stood up. My knees didn't shake. There was no sensation of my heart freezing, no overwhelming anger or sadness. Just a quiet, deep disappointment sinking into me toward the bottom of an endless sea. I see. Got it. I picked up my coat from the sofa and slipped my arms through the sleeves. As I walked toward the door, I left behind a single sentence. I didn't do all this because I wanted to become family. I did it because that's what family does. If even that's going to be rejected, then nothing remains. The moment I opened the door, the cold night wind struck my cheek. Chloe. Madison's voice called out behind me. Don't go. This has nothing to do with you. If you stay here, you'll only end up hurt too. But Madison, don't say anything right now. If you do, I'll start crying. I said that without turning back as I slowly closed the front door. At that moment, I decided I would never return to that house again. The next morning. Before I could finish my coffee, my phone vibrated. Madison. Her name appeared on the screen. I hesitated for a few seconds, then pressed the answer button. What is it? About yesterday, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Her voice was trembling, as if she were about to cry. It's okay. You don't have anything to apologize for. No, it's really not like that. What are you saying? When I first said I wanted to go to college, it was Dad and Mom who told me to ask you first. What do you mean? Back then, Dad said she's weak when it comes to you. She'll probably pay the tuition right away. And Mom said, if we just tell her we don't have enough money, she'll probably help out. I think they planned it all and used me to do it. I was at a loss for words. Madison sobbed on the other end of the line. I never meant to trick you. I really appreciate everything you've done. But I couldn't bring myself to say it before. I'm so sorry. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. Thank you for telling me. Just the fact that you shared this with me, it really saved me. I was still confused. Inside me, so many emotions were clashing with each other. Anger, sadness, frustration, and something that still faintly resembled love twisted together, creating a suffocating feeling I couldn't put into words. But at the same time, another emotion clearly began to grow inside me. This was my limit. If I kept staying involved with that family, I knew I would eventually wear myself down and fall apart. A voice deep in my heart said, "You've done enough." And it had never sounded clearer. I just wanted to be a kind daughter, and as a sister, I had done everything I could. But the times when my sincerity was trampled and used had to end. At last, I truly realized that I was allowed to prioritize protecting myself, not someone else. The next morning, I woke up an hour earlier than usual. While making coffee in the kitchen, I opened my laptop at the desk. A notification popped up on my smartphone, and when I glanced at the screen, I saw a short message from Madison. I'm glad we talked. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry. I didn't reply to it. I gently set my phone down and turned my eyes to the computer screen. Automatic transfers for tuition support, scheduled payments for educational expenses, money sent under the name of parental assistance. I selected only the recurring payments sent to my parents, and one by one, I quietly deactivated them manually. This is my decision. Saying it aloud filled my chest with a quiet resolve. I briefly considered stopping the support for my sister's university expenses as well. The feeling of betrayal, I definitely felt it toward Madison too. Being betrayed by family, even if she wasn't the mastermind, was more than enough to hurt me deeply. And yet, I decided to leave her support intact. Because I couldn't get her voice from that call out of my head. I never meant to trick you. I'm really sorry. She apologized again and again in a trembling voice. I wanted to believe in Madison. And more than anything, I believed that her desire to go to college hadn't come from someone else's instructions. It was undoubtedly Madison herself who chose that path. Even if the starting point had been twisted, she had since walked forward on her own 2 feet, studying and building toward her future. I didn't want to ruin that with my anger. A few hours later, I was in a conference room at work. Sitting across the table from me was Lucas Anderson, my colleague from the legal department, and my boyfriend. Thanks for coming. I know you're busy. When I said that, Lucas quietly shook his head. When you come to me saying, "Do you have a minute?" it's usually not something minor. He smiled, but there was a gentle seriousness in his eyes. After a short pause, he lowered his voice. Is this about your family? Yes, yesterday, everything finally came to light. Madison finally told me the truth. When she came to me about college tuition, it wasn't her own idea. Our parents told her she'll pay if it's for you, and made her say it. They planned everything from the beginning to take advantage of my kindness. My feelings didn't matter from the start. They just wanted to use me as a convenient wallet. That's what it really was. Lucas nodded silently. I see. Honestly, I've had a bad feeling for a long time. But I wanted to believe, because they're family. That's the tricky part about family. No contracts, but you're held responsible for life. Exactly. That's why I want to draw a clear line now. I don't want to keep being swayed by emotions or excusing things just because we're related. I don't want to wear myself down anymore. So I've decided to put distance between us legally, not emotionally. All right then, I'll help. What about the notice document? Do you want it sent as your lawyer or as their daughter? As their lawyer. I no longer intend to be involved as a daughter. Lucas nodded and opened his laptop. The objective is clear. A notice stating that no further financial support will be provided and that no repayment will be requested. No emotions, just facts and intent. Even if they react emotionally, I'll make sure you are legally protected. Thank you. I'm ready to walk away from that house. But I know they'll try to break the boundary, so I need legal protection. Lucas looked directly into my eyes. I really admire you for taking this step. No matter what happens, I'll be on your side. Just hearing you say that makes me feel safe. Thank you. I'm still in the middle of it, but I've made up my mind to protect myself. So I don't fall apart. Lucas smiled faintly and began typing on the keyboard. Once this is done, I'll send it as an official letter under my name. If they react emotionally, keeping your name off the front will help avoid unnecessary confrontation. I'll represent you so you can rest easy and leave it to me. Thank you. I nodded deeply. The scent of cold coffee calmed the air in the conference room. The words on the laptop screen were emotionless, but they marked a clear boundary, one I needed to survive. In that moment, I finally felt that I was no longer just someone who supported others. I had stepped into the role of someone protecting herself. I thought that would be the end of it. I cut off the financial support, sent the official notice, and believed I had drawn the line, both legally and emotionally. But something still nagged at me deep down. Why had they gone so far just to get money from me? It wasn't just Madison's tuition. I paid for all the house repairs, too. If they truly believed they were also supporting me, why were they so dependent on my money so blatantly? I needed to know the truth. I left work early for personal reasons and used the afternoon to begin the legal procedures necessary to check my parents' banking activity. In the past, as part of my financial support, I had opened several joint accounts with them, which turned out to be useful now. I had also kept the login credentials just in case. The moment I accessed the account, I froze. Between 10 to 15 transfers per month, sometimes close to 20. The transaction history was filled with recipients I didn't recognize. But among them were a few names that rang a faint bell, site names and digital wallet services I vaguely remembered. BetNova, Ecopays, Luxspin. I typed the names into a search engine, and in an instant I understood. They were online casinos. Not just one or two. Multiple sites with large amounts of money flowing into them regularly. No way. With trembling hands, I kept scrolling. Account balance history. Credit card transaction records. When I totaled the amounts, I gasped. Around $15,000. In just a year and a half, my father had spent that much on gambling. And most of it was money I had sent to support the family. My mind went completely blank. Somewhere deep inside me, I could feel something crumbling. Just then, my smartphone rang. Mom's name appeared on the screen. I instinctively caught my breath. Should I answer? Or ignore it? Old memories and words surged through my mind, tightening my chest with hesitation. But I knew I shouldn't run away. What is it? You just logged into the account, didn't you? I got a notification. Her voice was guarded. Apparently, part of the account settings were managed by her, so login alerts reached her too. Yes, I saw everything. Login history, transfer records, transaction recipients. All of it. A total of $15,000 sent to online casinos. And not just one, spread across multiple sites, little by little, like you were trying to hide it. I heard the sound of her breath catching on the other end. I continued, quietly but firmly. You said you didn't have any money, remember? Is this why you couldn't pay for Madison's college? I covered everything because I thought you didn't have the means. And the whole time you were throwing that money into gambling, what were you thinking? There was a long silence on the other end of the call. Eventually she spoke, her voice faint and hoarse. Please listen, your dad is sick. He's addicted to gambling. So you dragged me into it? No, it was supposed to be temporary. But before you knew it, how convenient. You looked the other way, and when the money ran out, you turned to me for help. Please, we never meant to deceive you. Her voice was shaking. But to me, it no longer meant anything. No, let me be clear. You did deceive me. You used Madison to guilt trip me, then you took my money and spent it on gambling. I didn't know, I swear. It was all your dad. He did it without telling me. Are you just going to say you didn't know anything inconvenient? Then who was it that shouted, "You're not family," and kicked me out? That was just in the heat of the moment. I took a deep breath. A dull ache returned to my chest. If it's really an addiction, then get him into treatment now. From my perspective, this has already gone too far. If necessary, I'm considering legal action. Don't say something so extreme. We're family, aren't we? It's because you use that word so carelessly that I've been suffering like this. After ending the call, I placed my phone on the desk in silence. Without hesitation, I contacted Lucas. He came right away. You already talked to them? I nodded. But in the end, it was all just excuses. Instead of apologizing, they tried once again to guilt me into taking responsibility because we're family. I see, if you're already at your limit, then there's no reason to keep enduring. It's just a matter of doing what needs to be done. The next day, I organized all the records of past money transfers and supporting evidence to show that some of the financial support had been misused and that the addiction had caused psychological strain on the family. I began considering a civil lawsuit. In this case, it'll be hard to demand repayment, but we can still document the fact that the family exploited you financially. That would be useful in seeking public protection too, Lucas said calmly. Preparing for the lawsuit took several weeks. Records of financial management, message history with my sister, bank transaction data, and my testimony about being thrown out of the house. All of it began to form a coherent narrative. A few months later, the trial was held. In court, I spoke plainly. I supported my family because I trusted them. But that trust was betrayed. I suffered not only financially but emotionally as well. On the witness stand, my mother cried and repeatedly said she regretted everything, but her words lacked weight. In the end, the court made the following ruling. It recognized the fact that financial exploitation had taken place within the household involving an individual with a gambling addiction. It ordered that my parents were not to request any further financial assistance from me. And regarding contact, it advised maintaining distance as necessary. On the day the verdict was handed down, I exhaled deeply. Legally, our ties weren't completely severed. But at last I had drawn a line to protect my own life. Lucas held me by the shoulders and whispered, "You did well." I closed my eyes for just a moment in his arms. This is enough. I don't have to go back to the past anymore. I have finally reclaimed my life. A few days later, my father was admitted to a rehabilitation center that specialized in gambling addiction. According to my mother, he had finally acknowledged the seriousness of his problem. He began receiving counseling from a trained psychotherapist at the facility individually several times a week, and he attended a group therapy as well. My mother planned to attend family therapy sessions with him. Even after receiving that update, I felt no emotion at all. I simply thought, so they've finally faced reality. If they can start confronting themselves, that's enough for me. I won't expect anything more. I, too, have begun to spend time quietly facing my own heart. It's been nearly 3 months since I started the therapy. At first, I was full of hesitation. But little by little, the heaviness in my chest has begun to take shape as words and quietly unravel. Anger is an important emotion that tells your heart, this isn't right. When I was told that, I finally felt like I could accept the anger within me. The frustration of being cast out of my home, the moments when trust was my salvation, everything has led to who I am now. I am recovering little by little on my own 2 feet. A few days later, Madison sent me a message. "Can we meet this weekend? There's something I want to talk about." After a moment of hesitation, I replied, "I'm free Saturday afternoon." When Madison arrived at the cafe, she looked calmer than before. "Chloe, I'm truly sorry. It was all my weakness. I relied on others without question, and I looked away from what was happening, but ever since that night, I've been trying to face myself honestly," she said. She then continued, "I'm going to graduate from college, and once I get a job, I'll start paying you back for the tuition, even if it's little by little. It's something I've decided for myself." Her words surprised me. Not because of the money, but because, at last, she had spoken with a sense of responsibility. The next day, I also heard from my father and mother. They said they wanted to apologize, but I didn't reply right away. What happened that night wasn't something that could disappear so easily. Right now, I'm calmly considering whether I should accept that apology. And then a year passed. I married Lucas and now spend my days in peace and quiet. Coming home and greeting each other warmly, the sight of him cooking in the kitchen, those are all now part of my happiness. The wounds from that night haven't completely faded. But with Lucas by my side, I've spent time facing my own heart slowly and carefully, and I can feel that those wounds are beginning to heal. From now on, I'll make choices based on my own will, not bound by someone's expectations or guilt. Even as I carry the pain of the past, I am truly living my life now. I've finally reached a future where I can say that sincerely.